The Locked On Podcast Network presents the NBA Big 3 in 30. The 3 biggest stories in the NBA from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The NBA Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest stories in the NBA.
Kevin Durant calls game against the Suns, and the Rockets defense steps up when it matters most. 197 final score. And man, this was absolutely a game of runs. Like, it felt like, Rockets have a run, then the Suns have a run, Rockets have a run, Suns have a run. And Rockets got the last laugh because they had the final run, if you will. This game, first off, the Rockets defense in the second half of this one was next level, holding the Suns to 18 in the third and just 19 in the fourth quarter. But this was a game, the Rockets were actually leading this game 94-87 about midway through the fourth quarter. With 6:04 left in the fourth, Jabari hits a free throw to give the Rockets a 7-point lead. And over the next 4 minutes and some change, Rockets had some solid defensive possessions, but they just could not buy a bucket offensively. Like, they played some solid overall. You hold any team to less than 20 points in a quarter, you're playing some great defense, but the Rockets defense did have some slips. The Suns made some buckets, and they sprung back out and had a 97-94 lead. And in the midst of that little 10-0 run that the Suns went on was a really egregious sequence where Devin Booker gets to the free throw line, makes the first one, misses the second one. Oso Ighodaro gets the offensive rebound. It finds its way back to Devin Booker. He cans a three-pointer. They get a 4-point play off of that one possession. They're down one. Booker comes down, Brooks comes down, hits a fadeaway. Booker hits a couple more free throws. And before you know it, Rockets go from leading by 7 to trailing by 3 with just under 2 minutes to go. And from this point on, Rockets only hit 2 more buckets. With just under 2 minutes to go, Amin Thompson has this ridiculous left to right, slicing crossover through 2 defenders, absorbs contact, finishes right at the rim, gets the and one. He was just perfect from the charity stripe, 7 of 7 in this game. Great job by Amin getting downhill. And then the Rockets pitch an absolute shutout the rest of the way. The final 2 minutes and some change, after allowing that 10-0 Phoenix run to regain the lead, the Rockets held the Suns scoreless over the final 2 minutes and 12 seconds, basically, of the game. And there were a couple, it wasn't just like good, like these weren't just good defensive possessions. These were Rockets had not one, but 2 different 24-second shot clock violations in that final stretch of game. None more important than the possession where it was tied up 97 all, and it was basically the final Suns possession of the game, 29 seconds on the clock, and Tari Eason D'ing up against Devin Booker guarded him about as perfectly as one could do. It was like he was trying to set himself up for the same exact game-winning shot, game-winning 3 that he hit against the OKC Thunder the night before. But instead, Tari Eason guards it beautifully. Booker doesn't even make it behind the 3-point line. Like Tari anticipates the little chest bump that Booker likes, or the little shoulder bump that Booker likes to do, guards it beautifully, doesn't undercut him, doesn't foul him, forces him to a tough contested 20-foot fadeaway. And Booker doesn't even draw iron, right? Straight glass, 24-second violation. Rockets get the ball back with 5.1 on the clock. And who else but Kevin Wayne Durant showing up, ice in his veins, to knock down the game-winning 3-pointer. Rockets call timeout. They inbound the ball to KD. And this was one of the few moments that we've seen this season where the Rockets were just, look, this is what you got KD for, right? You got Kevin Durant for these moments. And so for the Rockets to be able to just identify, hey, get the ball to KD, we're going to live with whatever the outcome is, right? And KD walked it up. There was no immediate double team, no blitz to try and get the ball out of his hands. He walked right into that right wing three-pointer, dribbled directly into his pull-up three, bang, only his second three-pointer of the game. He was just 2 for 12 in this one. He was saying in his post-game interview that he kept telling the guys, he was like, I feel it, like one's going to drop, it's going to drop, it's going to drop. And he just kept trying, and he hit the biggest shot of the night with 1.1 second left on the clock. I swear it is absurd watching a future first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever do it, hit big shot after big shot in a Rockets jersey. It is really cool to witness. And then the Rockets, there was still 1.1 seconds left on the clock. Still a chance for the Suns, but who else other than also former Phoenix Sun Josh Okogie to come in and get the final defensive stop of that sequence. Suns try to inbound the ball to Booker, and Okogie had this play sniffed out like he was a free safety, just jumped the passing lane, got two hands on the ball, and was like falling out of bounds with it as he caught it. And Booker wrestled it away from him, but had to reach down and snatch it away from him at his ankles, basically, and then turn and just throw a prayer up at the rim that really didn't have a chance of going in. So shout out to Josh Okogie, Tari Eason and Josh Okogie for the two biggest defensive plays of this game. Rockets held the Suns scoreless. Kevin Durant, ice in his veins, biggest shot of the night to give Houston the win. And look, it's phenomenal watching this Rockets defense getting back to a place where they can rely on their defense to win them games, right? Even when the offense was kind of yucky at times, this was one of the closest wins that we've had to last season's Rockets, to the 24-25 version of this team, where they could get you some ugly defense first wins. And that's exactly what happened in this game. The Rockets offense was not pretty in this one. Kevin Durant, just 9 of 21 shooting. That's not good efficiency for KD, right? Across the entire board for the Rockets, poor efficiency throughout the lineup, throughout the entire rotation, but it didn't matter. The Rockets hit the big shots. They hit more tough shots than the Suns did down the stretch of this game, and their defense stepped up when they needed it most. They've got Kevin Durant, who's a pretty good cheat code at the end of games, and despite being 1 for 11 going into that final shot, he hit the biggest shot of the night. Awesome win, quality win against a quality Phoenix Suns team, coming off of a huge win against the OKC Thunder in their own right. Just unreal stuff. Hearing the MVP chants after the game for KD was nuts as well, and it left us with this amazing interview question from Rockets courtside reporter Vanessa Richardson.
What's it like to hear everybody at Toyota Center chanting MVP?
Being booed in here so many years, being an opposing player and being booed, it feels good to come out here and get some love. I love Houston. I love Texas. I'm just grateful and representing the Rockets.
An incredible quote from KD and a great way to cap off an awesome Rockets win against a very good Phoenix Suns team. A game-winning three-pointer by Kevin Durant against his former squad. I know Ben Garcia asked for mercy, but hell no, Ben.
Release the hounds.
Go swing by Locked On Suns. Tell them Locked On Rockets sent you by. We love flooding the comments section of opposing teams. Go do that right now. Go head on over to Locked On Suns. Tell them the hounds coming by. All right. Elsewhere in this game, look, this game early on, especially the overall game flow of this one, the Suns were just absolutely on fire early in this game from three. They couldn't miss. They shot 7 of 13 from long distance in the first quarter alone. The 3-point shooting for the Suns just fell off a cliff. It felt like they couldn't miss anything in the first quarter. They finished the game. They went 7 of 13 in the first quarter. They finished their game shooting the rest of the way 7 for 25. Wait, 7 for 25? That's not the right math. 7 for 28? It's even worse. Yeah, it was bad. Like the Suns 3-point shooting just completely cratered after that first quarter, but it felt like they were going to have one of those nights where opposing team just flat out could not miss against the Rockets. And it was a weird, like, early going, right? Like, Suns jumped out to an early 7-2 lead. Then the Rockets went on their little run. Then the Suns went on another little run. It really did feel like a game of total runs. And shout out to, what the hell with the early game clock issues, man? I'll tell you what, whether that was some home cooking to stop Jordan Goodwin, who looked like he was about to torch the Rockets for 30 after hitting 3 straight triples in the first quarter. No idea what all that was about, but the clock issues in Toyota Center, I've never seen anything like it. It was one of the weirdest set of circumstances in this game, and I had it logged right here. There were 6 clock malfunctions in the first quarter alone. Then there was another clock malfunction at the top of the second quarter. Then there was a long stoppage of play while they were trying to figure out the clocks. Then they came back, had another clock malfunction. So if you're counting, we're up to 8 clock malfunctions at this point. And then they played the rest of the second half without a working clock. Like, it was nuts. Shout out to the real MVP of the game, Rockets PA announcer Jonathan Sanford, who was on the PA address system acting as the shot clock, like announcing how much time was left in the quarter, announcing 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, like doing countdowns, that whole thing. I've never once seen anything like that happen in an NBA game. I've seen them break out like the on the court shot clocks before, like setting them up in the corners to where they're not above the basket, like old school style. I've never seen that happen because the clock wasn't working. Thankfully, they got it fixed in the second half, but that was just a level of absurdity that I've never even personally experienced during an NBA game. That was kind of nuts to live and experience. But yeah, so that like, weirdly enough, the clock malfunctions actually probably played to the Rockets' favor. Like, the Suns were so unconscious from 3 in the first quarter of this game that like dead period probably like iced out the Suns a little bit, to where, I mean, Jordan Goodwin was not the same after that first quarter, right? Royce O'Neal calmed down a little bit. He still wound up shooting 5 for 12 for the game, but it completely iced out the Suns shooters after that insanely hot first quarter that they had. So maybe a little bit of home cooking by the Rockets stadium crew, unplug some wires and don't plug them back in until the second half once the Suns are good and cold. No, I kid. But credit to Toyota Center staff for getting that thing up and running for the second half. Credit to Space City Home Network too for like trying to keep the score bug updated. Like, I think manually at one point in time, like they were just like manually updating the graphic. It was kind of a cluster to watch them go through. But this game, it really felt like, the Rockets lived through the hot shooting of the Suns in that first half. And then as the second half got, I mean, just even starting the second half, like right out of the gate, it felt like there was a bit more defensive energy, a little bit more defensive intensity coming out of halftime. And this was a game that had some chippiness. And I think that there was a stretch in this game where it had a chance to go really sideways. And it was really early, top of the third quarter. Rockets went down 67-56. They went down 11. They went down multiple times by double digits, right? They went down by 13 at one point later in the game as well. But go down by 11, and then you had multiple, like it was 3 or 4 really sloppy, lazy, undisciplined turnovers, and that still continues to be the Achilles heel for this Rockets team. And it was compounded by the fact, like, they had the couple lazy turnovers, and then they had an 8-second violation coming out of a timeout. Like, that is borderline a benchable offense. Like, if it hadn't been Kevin Durant who committed the 8-second violation, like, that's a borderline offense that you get benched for, and you're like, hey, think about what the hell you just did, right? Lock in. Amin Thompson wound up the Rockets went on this like little spurt, this little run right after that period of lack of focus, where they got some Amin Thompson free throws. He was getting downhill. Then you had a transition 3-pointer for Jabari Smith Jr. that was fed by Tari Eason, where the Rockets they were getting stops. They were getting out and running, right? They were moving faster. And then there was another transition play a pass from Amin Thompson, I believe, that led to a Kevin Durant dunk in transition. And that brought the score back within a 2-possession game, 69-63. So that was another like little important stretch, a little important run that the Rockets went on where things could have gone really sideways right there at the top of the third quarter, but the Rockets stayed locked in. They were able to persevere, get through that stretch, and not let the game, get out of hand and let the Suns like run up the score and get a really big lead on them.
NFL Sundays move fast, one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
The New York Knicks walked into Detroit with a point to prove, but it was Cade Cunningham who sent a message to New York.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast.
The New York Knicks came into Little Caesars Arena with a point to prove. There was a bunch of talk along the national media about the New York Knicks are clearly playing like the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. Oh, they're heating up. They win the tournament, the in-season tournament, and there's, oh, God, look at the Knicks. Here they come. They're actually the best team in the East. And they walked into Detroit after what happened in the playoffs last year with Jalen Brunson on the other side, knowing there is a, what did Cade call it after the game? An elephant in the room. Walked into Detroit expecting to walk out, letting everyone know, yep, we just proved that we are actually the best team in the East. The standings don't match what actually is going on. And the Pistons, from the opening tip, I tweeted this out, I think, during the second quarter. From opening tip, it felt like that Cade Cunningham was trying to send a message. It wasn't just with how well he was playing, which we're about to get into, but with his own body language. It was very clear that he was aware who that team was, the player on the other side, and that this game was on Peacock. He was aware this is a national TV game. This is our first game back against this team since they took us out the playoffs last year. I'm better this year, and I'm going to show you guys I'm better this year. And he absolutely dominated the New York Knicks. This was one of the best games I have ever seen Cade play in his career. I almost wanted to go too far and say this was the best game I've ever seen him play. But it truly is one of the best games I've ever seen him play in just 29 minutes of action. Just 29 minutes of action. 29 points, 13 assists, 11 of 17 from the floor, hit 3 of 4 of his threes. Remember, in the offseason, we spoke a lot when we reviewed that series that he had a lot of hedge gap threes wide open in that series. He wasn't able to get hit or get knocked down. And in this game, I believe he hit 2 of them. He had 2 blocks. He was active as ever defensively. This was one of the best all-around performances I've seen Cade have. And every single time he scored, it felt like it was just another statement. Like he was just, his demeanor just said it. And then even after the game, he spoke about how, yeah, there's no lying about it. There's an elephant in the room. We wanted this one. And I'm telling you guys, as someone who was there live, if you were there live, you probably felt it too. You could see there was something extra to this game. Cade was absolutely fantastic. And these are the moments where I kind of just sit back and I think to myself, the Pistons were without a direction for 15 plus years. In the league, you got to have one of the best players in the league to have a chance. And the Pistons were just nowhere for 15 years. They were just without any kind of direction for 15 years plus. And then Cade gets drafted, and he has a bunch of doubters. They go through the 28-game losing streak. They go through people saying he wasn't worth the top pick. He goes through people saying that, if he was actually him, they would never lose like that. He goes through all of that, and I said throughout that whole time, Cade will be the savior. Cade will be the answer. Just give it time. And he is more than shown that he is the savior for the Pistons. He has saved this team. He has saved this franchise. It was going nowhere for 15 plus years. They had no answer for a franchise player. They had nothing going. And Cade has arrived, and he has saved this team. He is a face, not the face, but he is a face of the NBA. He's in the argument for the best American-born prospect or best American-born player, not prospect, in the entire league. And he got on the floor with a player that last year in the playoffs, I think he would even admit, got the best of him. Jalen Brunson outplayed him in the playoffs last year. Jalen Brunson has, for years, been, for the last, how long has he been in New York now? 4 years? 3 years? Last 3 years, been one of the best playoff performers in the play. Like, he is legit. There is no hate on Jalen Brunson from this side. He is an incredible playoff performer. And last year, he got the better of Cade. In this game, Cade came out tonight to let them know it ain't last year. I'm a better basketball player this year. I took what you guys did to me last year in the playoffs, and I came out this year to let you guys know I'm a better basketball player. You guys helped make me a better basketball player, and I'm about to show you that for the entirety of the 29 minutes I'm on the floor. He went at OG Anunoby one-on-one. He's an infinitely better isolation scorer this year. There's no more you can just trap him. He'll just attack you in isolation. He'll attack you in the post. He'll get to his mid-range. He'll get to the basket. He'll draw free throws. He'll hit pull-up threes. He also will attack you on the defensive end of the floor. Like, he is a much better basketball player than he was when the last time the Knicks saw him, and he made that very clear to every single person on that Knicks team. It didn't matter if it was OG Anunoby. It didn't matter if it was Mikal Bridges. It didn't matter who you put on him. Cade, every possession down, picked the New York Knicks absolutely apart. And he made it clear to them, I am the best basketball player on this floor. And not only am I the best basketball player on this floor, I'm one of the best basketball players in the world. Not just in this conference, not just in this division, not just in this building. I am one of the best basketball players in the entire league. And we're on national TV. I'm going to show everyone watching that I'm better than you, and I'm better than almost everyone that's watching this game too. And that I'm on my way. That's what Cade came out here, and that's what Cade showed. He is playing like an MVP-type player, and the rest of the league needs to take notice. And I believe he did exactly that tonight. He put the whole, if you weren't aware yet, if you weren't knowing yet, Cade went out there on Peacock and let everybody know, we here. I'm here. Not we, I am here. And as long as I am here, the Detroit Pistons will be here, and you guys better watch out. This is one of my favorite games I've watched of this team in the last 5 years. It felt like a playoff environment. The team was clicking on every single cylinder. They were locked in on both ends of the floor, and their best player came out with like a Michael Jordan type of mentality of, I am here to punish you guys, and I'm going to make it clear I'm doing it. It was like psychotic behavior, what we saw from Cade tonight. One of my favorite games I've ever watched of his. And all 6 games of the playoffs last year were great to watch. This was one of the favorite games I've ever watched from him. Absolutely surgical and dominant from Cade Cunningham.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Mike, they lose their coach to a horrific call that Snoop Dogg, who was on the broadcast today, Electric, gave us just wonderful Picasso painting the picture of how Steve Kerr was ejected from this game. But they showed the replay, and even, a novice basketball analyst that may or may not have partaken in some fun before the game, it clearly seemed that way. He was able to say that's a ridiculous call, and you never want to point to the refs opening segment, but 103-102, it's not the reason you lost the game, but technically it is.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's literally a 2-point difference, Chuck. That would have been the difference in a Warriors victory. And also, too, the play before that with the lack of continuation for Steph. I mean, I agree, kind of complaining about the refs and commenting on the refs is not necessarily what won or lost this game for either side. But I kind of think we see it quite consistently with Steph and his lack of whistle, or, just comparatively speaking to other stars like SGA. I mean, if SGA throws that up, is that a continuation? Probably, right? So I think that Warriors fans have grown frustrated with the lack of what feels like an even playing field with the Zebras. And, I think it's fair to call that out, especially when it was a 1-point game and they clearly missed a goaltend. So it's unfortunate, but I think there's some other things that we can get into tonight as well.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Chuck Walter and Mike Loganoff with you tonight. Steve Kerr ejected. Steph Curry fouls out with a minute to go after the Warriors pulled within 1 point, down by 10. And they had a chance, but you knew as soon as Steph went to the bench, it's like, okay, Clippers sink 2 free throws. It's a 3-point game. We need to win this in regulation, fellas, because we don't have the bodies to compete with the Clippers. The Clippers, who are missing James Harden, but had Kawhi Leonard and had Chris Dunn knocking down shots and just looked better than you for the majority of this night. And Steph had a pedestrian game from, his standards, especially shooting the basketball. Final numbers for him. He did have 27 points, but he was 9 of 23 and 4 of 15. And you just looked around the court and you said, who's going to carry this team in the final minute? It was Jimmy Butler who had the ball in his hands for the final shot, and it was a post-up, fade away, not even from the elbow, kind of like a corner J, and it was a complete air ball and a complete buzzkill to finish that game, man. It's very rare that you get crunch time minutes with no Steph Curry due to foul trouble.
Correct. I mean, and ultimately, too, that third quarter that the Warriors put up and they had 13 points. If we had to point to one passage of play that probably lost them the game, I would say it was that third quarter. They just came out flat and, without Steph on the floor, they just literally couldn't generate offense. So that was definitely disappointing. But also, too, Jimmy's shot. I mean, if there's one thing that we've seen Jimmy do and do really quite well since he put on the blue and gold, I would say it's probably been his ability to pump fake and get to the line. So I figured just maybe we would see that because, you give Jimmy 2 shots up from the stripe. But I feel pretty confident that he's making at least one of those. So I thought that was surprising, especially with someone like Batum on him too. And you have Kawhi coming to help. So maybe you get them both in the air and there's just enough contact to warrant a free throw attempt. But, it's just disappointing. And it's been a lot of the same of what we've talked about. And also, Chuck, we got to call it out too. 1, Happy New Year. And 2, also, Chuck, I think we I think the Warriors have not won a game every time that we've done a post-game show together. So maybe there's some correlation there that implies causation, but it's just a lot of the same story, in my opinion. You're seeing that the Warriors looked pretty active on defense, which is what they've proven they can do. I mean, they're one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, but this team kind of is who they are now. They're 37 games into the season. They're 1 game above 500. They've squandered easy wins previously, and the same things that have been impacting them from the first few games of the season they're impacting them now. So, I mean, it really, to me, is, I don't want to kind of future trip here or get too eager about what happens in 10 days from now, potentially, but I think that's kind of where the Warriors need to look towards. They have 8 games at home upcoming, but I think the real step change function is going to come after they're able to move some pieces.
NBA championship teams aren't relying on Moses Moody to get extremely hot and Al Horford to knock down more than 50% of his threes and Will Richard to have a big game and Pajemski to do big things. Like, they're just asking guys that aren't necessarily PTPers? Is that what Dick Vitale calls them? Prime time players, maybe little PTPer. Like, they just don't have enough. We said that for a while now, and Kerr's rotations don't help. And I mean, the anti-Kerr crowd almost got their dream tonight with Terry Stotts leading the troops to victory. But it didn't happen at the end of the day. I would say that the addition of Guy Santos really energized them tonight and has been energizing them pretty much every time he comes in the last, 2-3 weeks.
And I mean, and the Clippers are big. They just are, right? With Zubac, with Brooke Lopez, I don't care how old he is, he's still a behemoth out there. I mean, Kawhi's no small player. I mean, Chris Dunn's pretty big for a guard. John Collins, tall and athletic. So having Gee out there, I think allowed the Warriors to have a little bit more of a puncher's chance from a size perspective. But I mean, it really is, to me, Chuck, just looking towards the roster construction now, because it's, with Moses Moody, we're in year 5. It's pretty clear who he is. I think he's a fringe rotation guy who will be in the NBA for a long time, because was incredibly active on defense today, but couldn't hit the broadside of a barn when his teammates are generating open looks for him. And also, too, whenever he has the ball in his hands, he's never confident dribbling the basketball. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I like Moody. I like his competitive edge. I like the way he competes. I like the way he gets dirty on the ground. I like the way he competes on the defensive end. I like the way he tries to stay active on the glass. But I mean, he can't shoot. He can hardly dribble. I don't want it to be like a Stephen A. Smith, soundbite on Kwame Brown here, but
Mario Chalmers, lock him in a closet.
Yeah, small
without
hands,
a basketball,
the basketball
15 feet in sight.
But I mean, this is the thing, though. It's like he has a fast break, kind of a secondary break. You're a shooting guard, and you pick up the ball on the wing. Try and make a move. Try and get to the hoop. And that's the difference of, the dynamic that Melton brings to the team versus a Moses Moody, right? Yeah, Melton hasn't been shooting the ball great from deep, but I mean, let's cut the guy some slack. He tore his ACL, 13 months ago. I think that's more about just getting his playing legs under him and getting adjusted to the speed of play and the rate of play, which I'm confident he will. But his ability to get to the hoop and create off the bounce is what you like to see out of a shooting guard, right? Someone who can be a secondary ball handler and create for others and get to the rim. Moses Moody has not proven at any instance of his career to be able to do that at a starting caliber level in the NBA. So if we're pushing ahead and projecting ahead, it wouldn't surprise me if Moses is on the block as well come January 15th.
And if you're looking at Moses 13, you're looking at Kuminga 24, you're looking at just those two alone. I mean, you're talking $37 million. There's a few different ways you can change the roster. It doesn't have to be just one move. You could get multiple players that you just feel like are upgrades at both positions. Anything at this point is going to be an upgrade from Kuminga because he's not playing.
He's not playing.
There's no really debate there. Like what we're getting from Kuminga now, not his fault, obviously. He's not getting minutes. So what you're going to get is going to be better than what you have now at that position. Then if you upgrade Moody as well, you could go, 2 for the $30-something million. And that's the Herb Jones and Trey Murphy route that so many people have talked about, but that's closer to like $50 million.